Good evening, and welcome to another Going for Two Hangout, where we talk about all the sports as long as football qualifies as all sports. How many times in the next month will Americans yell at the TV, just pick up the ball and run with it? It's another week closer to NFL action, and we have another catastrophic injury, this time Sean Weatherspoon of the Falcons. That's what you get when you depend on a Missouri player. We will have important discussions on how one cheers for other sports, what the Titans have in store for us at wide receiver this year, underrated Titans of history, and we'll finish with fantasy football ethics and how an obscure soccer match led to the most controversial move in my local fantasy league's history.
Oh, fun.
Sharona, will you be able to focus with all the dribbling going on tonight?
I just want to mention that the NBA Finals and my boo, Tim Duncan, are going to be on the TV soon, but I am here with my main man, Zach.
By main, they're at least...
because I have priorities.
Right? Exactly. And plus, this is a major sporting event, championship series, therefore cannot begin before like 10 o'clock, right?
Right. Well, it can't begin without me, and we all know that.
I could see, it starting later if, say, any West Coast teams were involved, but as far as I can tell, San Antonio's in Central Time, so how about some 8 o'clock and 7 o'clock action for you? But that's, oh my gosh, we've already gone off on a tangent. Oh, man, I'm just going to drink some more.
You got to hang with me, Zach. I'm going to make you a non-football purist.
It's just too much effort. Caring just takes a lot of, energy, and so I'm drinking.
I want you to know I was laughing. I was laughing at you and Denny talking about the difference between caring and not caring, and in your Google hangout with him, and it really is. Life is much better when you don't care.
Well, I think the whole concept, of course, he was
a Dolphins fan.
He's a former fan of an NFL team, and of course he's a Dolphins fan, as I was, so we have that in common. And, a few years too many of Dan Marino not having a run game just, kind of broke us emotionally. So now we try to, let it roll off our backs as much as we say we do. He's the guy that I think invented the hashtag Team Shower Cry, which refers to when you go into the shower with all your clothes on and you cry about your horrible fantasy team. So just remember that.
Well, it was very entertaining. I enjoyed it. I'm not happy with my hair. Sharona likes to play with her hair on this hangout.
That's right. So
because it's still wet mostly. It's usually still wet when I'm doing it.
It takes a while.
Yes, it can take sometimes up to 4 or 5 hours for my hair to dry. You may not notice it. You might not be able to tell, but it's really thick.
Okay.
Ask my plumber. Every time he comes over here to unclog my drains, he's like, it's your hair, right? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I know that.
In our house, it's cat hair. That's not hat hair, cat hair. It's totally different. So we're going to break down the Titans at wide receiver. It's not been a very good position for the team, historically speaking, with great pickups such as Yancey Thigpen and Carl Pickens and David Givens, and just about all of them were horrible. And they couldn't draft a guy to save their lives either. A guy who could break a tackle in a Super Bowl, for example. But now there's intrigue, and there's actually some talent here. You have Kendall Wright, who had 90 catches last year. Had Nate Washington, who's that wily veteran, and then Justin Hunter, the intriguing ex-Tennessee Vol, who I believe his first 5 targets in the NFL were in the end zone. So, yeah, a little bit of the intermediate game would be nice for him to pick up.
Yeah, Mr. Jump Ball himself, the guy that we're expecting to do big things, was injured early on in OTAs last year, did not get to participate, came back and was behind in training camp, started the season behind, had a little bit of a slow start, showed some flashes, and he's got to do better catching the football, but clearly a talented guy.
Yeah, he must have made an impression on Wisenhunt because his first NFL catch, I believe, was that touchdown to beat the Chargers in the
It
home
may have been.
opener. Because it was, yeah, I think he was on like a seventh string water boy playing cornerback, but still, he made a nice catch. Yeah, one thing that I noticed, I mean, this doesn't really surprise anyone, but the Chargers last year were a very run-heavy team last year with Wisenhunt at the helm. When they threw the ball, they were really efficient. They were 22nd in pass attempts and fourth in yards, and it looked like Philip Rivers didn't really throw the ball deep that much, so they're going to be more of an intermediate type team, although Justin Hunter should be their deep threat. I mean, come on. I
You
really
think?
wonder, will they go with like the three wide receiver look a lot with the one running back, or are they gonna stick with the normal two and maybe have Justin Hunter occasionally rotate in?
I don't know. It's going to be. I'm anxious to see what they do and how they work in Delaney Walker, who really was their big long threat last season. I think that he caught. Well, I don't know. Nate Washington caught some long balls, but for whatever reason, and I like Nate. I thought that they might move on, but they did not. He disappeared there for a while. I mean, he started off, and you thought he was going to, but he ended up. I mean, he almost had 1,000 receiving yards, so that's kind of
Yeah, he was
kind of
like
good.
I think the last time the Titans did they have 2,000-yard receivers with like Bennett and Mason one year
Yes, they did.
because it didn't happen very often. And especially if I'd say the passing attempts would be down, but Rivers had a 4,000-yard season, so it's not like he didn't throw the ball at all. But yeah, they're very. I think two tight ends seems like the way they're going to go, but yeah, they got to mix these guys in. Hunter's got to show more maturity. Hopefully, he's recovered from that ACL tear. I'm a little nervous because I have both Hunter and Wright in my dynasty league, and when you
Well,
invest too
he's
much in
3 years
Titans, it's a little
removed
scary.
now. He's 3 years removed now. He should be.
Yeah, and they do say and this is something to consider for fantasy as well, that the biggest improvement a player usually makes is between that first and second year. So look at those second-year guys to break out instead of the new shiny objects of the
As
rookies.
I recall, he had a hammy in OTAs last year. That really set him back.
Was no. Well, one thing that's key is they should have the same wide receiver coach as last year, Sean Jefferson, who sounds like he likes to yell at his guys. And considering that wide receivers are kind of divas and they don't get a lot of touches, they probably need someone to kind of keep them in line because they get a little overconfident. I'm kind of hoping this year to see a little more Kendall Wright in the red zone.
Yeah, he only had, what, 2 receiving touchdowns last year?
I mean, if you recall last year, I think after week 2, it was Eddie Royale with cheese for the Chargers, who had like 5 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks, and he had like 8 touchdowns overall. And I'd say that's kind of the Kendall Wright role, except that Kendall Wright's going to be used a lot more and get a lot more targets, and he's a lot better. So maybe, yeah, that touchdown number will actually jump this year for him, because otherwise, he's already done the breakout. They say that wide receivers break out in year 3, but I think more and more they're breaking out in year 2.
Yeah, I
We
think so
don't have
too.
the patience no more.
Well, they don't have the time with these rookie contracts. They don't. You've got to. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
got
it's a
4
show.
years.
It's a. You should be familiar with this, Zach. It's a show me now league.
Show me. That's right. Well, I don't know. I think I could have sworn that there were 4-year deals before, but I mean, when you have a
There were, but
past the first
for
round guy, yeah, you can sign to a deal after that third year, and you have to kind of know what you
yeah.
have. Now, is there anybody else on the roster besides those 3 guys who's worth a flip, who might be intriguing, who might actually make some plays now that we've lost the Damian Williams train, and who was the other guy who was kind of crappy that they had and they got rid of last year? They've had some solid guys who
Kenny
have
Britt?
maybe caught 40 passes in their lives. Well, yes. Well, that's one of the thing that's like the earthquake that continually, or maybe the tidal wave that keeps hitting Twitter, is these OTA things. And usually they're talking up these rookies, but with Kenny Britt, yeah, there's this, oh, and Jeff Fisher says Kenny Britt looks good, and I'm like, okay, Kenny Britt just, I don't know what happened to him last year. I think
Yeah.
he had more penalty yards than receiving yards.
At one point he did, definitely. Yeah, Michael Preston has kind of been that guy that you think is going to, um, maybe make it an undrafted free agent, a guy from a small school. I can't remember Heidelberg, I believe, is the school that he is from, and those are the kind of the guys that you typically pull for, and he has shown flashes, but it looks like he's back to square one as he should be. It's a new coaching staff and what have you. Interested to see what he does in training camp, and a guy that I think that you should keep an eye on in PPR leagues and in terms of guys who can fill a dual purpose, and that's Dexter McCluster, who's a guy who has shown that he can, you know, fill that running back, wide receiver, flex role.
Well, Danny Woodhead did have 76 catches and 6 touchdowns last year. He did fade a little bit in the second half because the team basically, they had this 4-game stretch where they basically gave Ryan Matthews like 120 touches,
Yeah.
which was crazy because it's just, he's not known for that. I don't expect that again this year. But yeah, with a rookie, I see McCluster being used a lot. I mean, he's going to get probably 5 touches a game, and he'll be a punt returner. And of course, we have the perpetually injured Mark Mariani, who's never really done anything as a wide receiver, but he might need to make the team. And I guess with McCluster as a potential wide receiver, do you even think they keep more than 4 guys on the roster
I think
at wide receiver?
I mean, Mark Mariani is a fan favorite, and from all appearances, a very nice guy. I think that he is a long shot to make the roster.
Yeah, it's probably true. The pride of Montana. And wasn't it Jeff Fisher's son was at Montana and told him
They were
about Mariani?
They were friends and
So
roommates.
he drafted him. Pretty impressive what a weird trip he had. 7th round pick, goes to the Pro Bowl's rookie year, and then was it his 3rd year he got hurt 2 years ago? Because he played his 2nd year, I think. Because he wasn't quite as good his 2nd year, but I swear he didn't have a kick return for the first 7 weeks because they kept going through the end zone. Like they changed the kickoff rules, and all of a sudden Mariani couldn't do anything. But you don't get a lot of. Well, I think as any position in the NFL, you don't get a lot of rope. But if you're a kick returner and you keep getting hurt, you're probably not going to hold on.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be the kick return position is evolving, I think. Although Leon Washington, once they signed him to bolster that position that they had so much trouble at, he had some nice yardage on kick returns and some really nice yardage on punt returns.
Yeah, kick returner is really an inconsistent position. I don't even remember the name of the guy they had 2 years ago who last year was just absolutely horrible, and they had to cut him because he was so bad before they signed.
Darius Renaud?
Yeah, Renaud. And there's another weird guy who was like a receiver, and then he was a running back, and the Titans even used him at running back a few times, and it just, yeah, you're a kick returner. And
oh, yeah, that guy. And he bobbled one too, muffed one too. I forget what his name was.
You're really not allowed to do that. So
you have one job to do.
Yeah. Well, there's some years the Titans' return game has been so bad that just fair catching the ball has been like a good result. He took a knee in the end zone, or he took a knee at the 1-yard line, like Darius Renaud did that one time.
Well, no, he got a safety on the first play of the game.
Safety, right, because he took a step back. Yeah.
Lord have mercy. And the Titans ended up winning that game. It was close, but that did not set a very good tone.
We'll have that to remember forever. It's a great moment in football embarrassment history.
Oh my
So
gosh, that
we
I
don't
was like,
think the
oh,
wide receivers are it's like not a sore position for the Titans. It feels like it's a good position with potential to be even better. So there's hope, right?
yeah, I think you could make a very strong, reasonable argument that this is the best wide receiver group that they've had.
Look at that.
Potentially.
Well,
Potentially.
that's all we have now. So I was asked on a podcast a couple weeks ago, an underrated Titan, and I had trouble really thinking of one, and it took me a little while to go remember a player who wasn't really a star, but was kind of known. And I was thinking of John Simon. Speaking of returners,
Okay, yeah.
he was with the team. I'm trying to remember when. It was like the early 2000s. He had a
Had that
couple
long run
couple
in
returns
a
and
preseason
touchdowns.
game
The
when he the
thing
guy.
was, his mom sat in the front of our section, and he went to some college in Louisiana, so she's from Louisiana, and she would wear like her Mardi Gras beads, and she'd be dancing. And they even had a little highlight reel for Big John, they called him. He unfortunately fumbled in that AFC Championship game against the Raiders, which kind of ended the Titans' chances. And then I don't think he was heard from again, but while he was around, he was kind of a memorable guy. I mean, a current guy I like who's not a star, will never be a star, is Carl Klug, just because he has a great name.
Yeah.
And that's like
I
me
like Carl
doing
Cliff.
my Titans PA announcer imitation. Carl Klug. He'll make like
Um,
one good play every 3 weeks, and then he won't get on the field.
had an excellent rookie year and has kind of been screwed since. The guy who came to mind for me was probably would be Sarge, Armad Hall, fullback, military man, a fan favorite, a guy who kind of set the tone for the team and was an all-around great guy.
Now, didn't the guy they have, Troy Fleming, was that the guy before him? He was a UT guy?
Yeah, Troy Fleming.
Because they had fullbacks. That was the one thing, like fullback, they keep going on this military thing. Like,
Colin Mooney.
now Colin Mooney's on the team, and I don't know what he's going to be a running back or a fullback, but as you say, whatever it takes to stay on a roster. And it does help with carrying the American flag on the field, have your military guy there.
Yeah, I always thought that Peter Sermon was a little bit of an underrated guy. Of course, injuries derailed his career, and now he's in coaching, and I've kind of lost track of him. I need to look and see where he is these days, but I really liked him. Didn't get a lot of didn't get a lot of credit, but a really solid player before he got hurt.
Yep, and we sure could use some solid players, couldn't we?
And you brought a name up today, Zach. You're a Kerry Collins hater, but you know what? He is the last Titans quarterback to take them to the playoffs.
Yeah, didn't I? What did I call Kerry Collins the Keanu Reeves of quarterbacks?
He's the Keanu Reeves of quarterbacks, and I like Keanu Reeves, so that comparison works for me.
I am an FBI agent. I am an NFL quarterback. Kerry Collins had one of the most deer in the headlights performances in history in that Super Bowl against the Ravens. He did not have a chance.
Well, it wasn't entirely his fault. I mean, let's be real. I still haven't gotten over his first 5 games in 2006. Oh my God, woof!
Yeah, that was a tough one. I mean, I was thinking that in that playoff run, the Ravens, their defensive scheme was have Tony Siragusa nosedive on the quarterback back when you could do that. And he took out Steve McNair in the first round, and he took out Rich Gannon in the AFC Championship game. And then against Kerry Collins, you're like, you're good. Go ahead and do whatever you got to do, and just let him play. He was put in a bad position in 2006 because that was when they got rid of McNair, and Vince Young was a rookie, and then they basically left Billy Volek in San Diego like it was a bag that you forgot to take at your hotel room. And they just didn't have a chance. They were ready for their guy. I'm already on beer number 2. How about that?
Oh wow, I've got a puppy
This
over
is
here
my
that's.
last beer from the Jody Smith stash.
Oh well, we need
And
to
the
get in touch with
Pumpkinators.
Yeah, we need to get in touch with that person, I suppose.
I need to actually like go out and buy a beer myself, you know.
I almost bought beer. I was at the grocery store, was it yesterday? One day, not a few days ago, and I was like, should I buy some beer? And then I was like, you know what? I don't drink it enough. There's probably some in the refrigerator. Next week, I promise, I'm going to drink beer with you.
Should I buy a beer? That on my end is a rhetorical question. I should always buy a beer. I haven't had people buy me beer a couple times today,
Well,
but I still need my own.
I am. I drink vino.
It's all, it all works.
It
So
all works.
tell me, Sharona, are you
Yes, Mr.
emotionally
Zach.
okay with me hanging out with another? Do you feel betrayed because I talked with Denny Carter this week on a
I
different
did feel
hangout?
betrayed. I was like, why am I not in this hangout? These two guys need me in this hangout. There's too much testosterone in there. They need me.
I don't know about you, but when it comes to hangouts, I like them one-on-one. That's just how I roll. Sometimes it's tough. There's a little bit of a delay, so when there are more than 2 people, occasionally it's hard. You end up talking over each other. So I don't know.
I like them both ways. I mean, it's kind of fun to have. I think the most I've had in a hangout have been 4 or 5.
You're not afraid to admit it. I like that.
I'm not afraid. No, you know what?
When it comes to
We need
sports talk,
some
there's never
time.
enough love. That's right. Well, he had just published his second ebook, and it's about daily fantasy as opposed to weekly fantasy, and that's kind of the new thing, and what happens to your brain. And he made some comparison to Wall Street and to poker. So I was thinking of the movies, The Wolf of Wall Street and Rounders, when I was reading the book for my extreme advantage. But yeah, you can get a little emotionally invested in your players and your team. You can just try to be objective, but really in fantasy you end up taking on a persona, so maybe live that up. And if you're gonna be kind of the bastard who makes the crazy trade offers, then go with it.
I am going to totally steal Sweaty Disaster as a fantasy football name. And then the other thing that I wanted to say, I found it quite curious that Denny thinks that he does better at fantasy when he doesn't watch the games.
I'm kind of intrigued by the concept myself. It's like
I really am.
I'm not even used to it because I'm used to basically hanging out with my friend Don at his house and having my cat really yell at
I
me.
hear your
I may have
cat.
to go rescue him because he's locked in the room. But yeah, he really likes the channel where you get the highlights because all he wants is his guys to score touchdowns every minute, and it can be a bit much. Sometimes you forget to actually enjoy the game, or maybe if you enjoy the game, it makes you have attachments that you shouldn't, and then you're not thinking about win, win, win. Besides, there aren't very many people making a living off this, so yeah, you should
The only
have fun
time
with
I
it.
ever get emotionally attached to players is when I'm in a keeper league. So I'm quite curious to
I'm
see.
gonna rescue my cat.
Go rescue
I'll
your
be
cat.
back. All
Um,
right, Sting. Go, go, go.
bye, kitty cat.
Oh gosh, so much fun. We had to give him some new drugs today, so that's all good.
So the only time I get emotionally attached to my fantasy players is when I'm in a keeper league, a dynasty league, keeper league. Otherwise, I know they're on a 1-year rental, and while I'm rooting for them to do well, I only get emotionally attached if it's someone that I'm already attached to, like Vernon Davis. I'm emotionally attached to him because I think he's hot and all of that, and so. Otherwise, it doesn't affect me watching the games versus playing. It just doesn't.
Yeah, and I guess if you play
Now, I
daily,
did cry when Navarro Bowman got hurt.
that's good because IDP, no team defense. Well,
He was a baller for me and the team that I rode to the championship. Speaking of Vernon Davis, I had that team was so loaded. I had Peyton Manning, Bo
Clayton.
Peyton. I had Bo. I had Vernon Davis. I had it was Justin Hunter was in that league. I had him during that stretch when he was scoring all those touchdowns.
When he was good, yeah, before he got suspended for smoking doobies in the parking lot or whatever they caught him doing.
I don't know. I would
We'll
love to
never
know.
find out.
Would love to know.
Well, I mean, I'm in a dynasty league, and I've had players for years, and I actually had trouble letting go of Rob Baronis like last year because I had him since the first year of the league, since like
Oh yeah.
2006. And besides that, everybody's kind of rotated in and out. When it comes to quarterbacks, I tend to let them go fairly quickly. I probably made 10 trades in the first few
You'll
years.
appreciate this, Zach. I traded back a couple of times. I traded my third round. I traded my fourth round. With my first fifth round draft pick, I drafted Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, is that the dynasty league you're talking about?
Yep.
Tom Brady's really fading. I
He's
did one
fading,
mock
but
draft,
bear
and he
in
was like in
mind,
the 11th round. Like he's going almost at the end of quarterbacks, which is
yeah. I don't
unusual. I
think
thought he had name value still.
his ADP in this league was a lot higher than that, and all the other the quarterback behind him I think was like RG3, and I was like I don't want to get stuck with RG3. But bear in mind I have two first round. No wait, I have a first
Okay,
round. I have three second rounders next year.
3 second round. Oh, so you're making rookie trade deals?
Mhm.
I like the two dynasty startups I've done. I traded out of the second round for some reason and got extra rookie picks. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting
So
breaking news. Marshawn Lynch could be considering retirement. There's news for you. Got
wow.
that from the 444
I
email.
that is so funny because I will tell you as I get home. No, wait, let me think. Was it the first trade or the second trade? One of the trades that I did. When I got the trade offer, I looked to see who was available and stuff, and it was Marshawn was at the top of the guys per ADP, and I was and you went down the list. It was like there's nobody I want to draft in this spot. So
Yeah, it happens because I had the second pick in the second round of rookie draft, and I had like 7 guys I thought I could take, and I'm like, I'm just going to trade down. So I ended up getting like 3 picks and moving down 7 picks. But then as soon as the guy drafted Cody Latimer, I had that. I could have had Cody Latimer, and Peyton Manning's throwing him the ball, and you just have that moment of, dang, I really made a mistake, but you just have to kind of go with it. So what's your theory, especially being in a dynasty league that's drafting right now, about taking like older guys? Because Marshawn Lynch retirement
I would not have taken. I
or
would not have
not is
drafted.
like 55.
I would not have
So what do you
drafted
think
Marshawn
about
Lynch.
these older dudes?
Yeah, no, I would not have drafted Marshawn Lynch. I would draft him. I would totally draft him in a redraft league. I would not draft him in a keeper or a dynasty league because you don't. My preference is not to draft guys, especially early on, where you're doing a 1 year rental. Now, I mean,
Yeah, it's all about.
if you want to stock up and make a run in 1 year, I suppose it's okay. But I'll go with the I want to build a dynasty theory.
You want to dominate.
Yeah.
Probably not taking a Frank Gore. There are a lot of these older
I
guys.
took, let's see, who's on my team? I took Eddie Lacy. Got Eddie Lacy, I've got Tom Brady, and who I drafted a wide receiver. Who is my wide receiver?
Not Justin Hunter.
It was not Justin Hunter. Um,
This is a larger league too, right? Isn't it 16 teams?
there's 16 teams.
Dang, I don't know. I like my 12.
Oh, I will give you. I'll give you three guesses. I took a second-year wide receiver. I will give you three guesses on who I took.
Is that Cordell Patterson?
I did.
Cordy?
So I took a CP.
It is. I don't know if it's crazy, but yeah, his current ADP is very high. Like he's going. I saw him go in a second round of one and then a third round, and I guess people have this upside about what he's going to do. If you can get like return yards and like kick return touchdowns, then that's definitely going to be good because didn't he have like four last year, four touchdowns?
He's going to get a lot more opportunities. Mike Zimmer and that coaching staff are going to utilize him a lot better than Leslie Frazier and the old coaching staff. He's going to put up ungodly numbers this year.
Well, he's just like a taller version of it. I think the comparison was like he is as fast as Tavon Austin, except he's like 5 inches taller and like 30 pounds heavier. And I think I remember that Missouri-Tennessee game when Tennessee was thumping them early. That he was getting like carries out of the backfield and getting little screen passes because you like get him the ball. Because I think I heard that like his downfield instincts are almost like a running back. Like he knows how to set up guys in the next level and just like get him the ball.
Yeah, I mean the thing is you had to. His route running had not yet developed. I mean, he came from JUCO where he was basically a run and gun kind of guy, no real playbook to speak of. He comes to Tennessee, doesn't have much time to learn the playbook. But guess who was helping him really learn it? Justin Hunter, that's right.
I was going to say Tyler Bray, but yeah.
No. Justin Hunter was very helpful for him, and so they wanted to get him the ball, but you couldn't always rely on him to run any sort of intricate type deal. So that's what they were doing was just handing it to him, getting it to him in whatever way they could.
Yeah, there's something to be said for a guy who's just that athletic. You're not going to give too many wide receivers like carries out the backfield and.
He is the most amazing athlete I think that I've ever seen. He is like the offensive version of Javon Curse, who was before that the most amazing athlete that I had ever seen.
But he did a smart thing too. He was like, "Oh, I'm in Tennessee. All right, 1 year and get out, and nobody gets hurt." See?
Yep.
It worked out. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, joke.
Worked out good for him, sure.
I actually saw somebody do an article about SEC teams and betting the over/under on their wins, and I think Tennessee was 5, and I think he bet the under, and I was like, wow, it's just not good, is it? Like, We'll be back. You'll be yelling Rocky Top before it's over.
I think they'll win more than 5 football games, but I don't know that I'm going to get all upset because somebody thinks that they won't.
Hello? Schedule. They got,
man down. Oh, there he is. Kitty cat.
Chewy.
Hi, Kitty.
Not such a fan.
This is the good kitty cat, right?
Well, he's the one that lets me do this. So
Oh.
He's like, sure, yeah, this is great. Are we done yet? He likes it, and then he doesn't like it.
The little diva was over here a few minutes ago, but she's decided she's like, Mom, you didn't give me a hair. I had promised her she needs to be trimmed badly, and I had promised her today was the day, and then what did I do? I forgot.
Ouch.
I was all excited about getting ready for the hangout, Zach.
I'm glad to take priority.
Priorities.
We'll do maybe the final segment of the evening and talking about fantasy football ethics, because we kind of talked about this in my hangout earlier this week. What would you do? Would you actually trade somebody an injured player, or would you try to make a low-ball offer for an injured player in a dynasty? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it just depends. I mean, that's so broad. Give me
It is.
specifics.
Well, I think actually Denny's example is he tried to trade, I think, for Pierre Thomas when he found out that Darren Sproles got hurt before a game, and the guy made him a really low ball deal because he didn't know that Darren Sproles was hurt. That seems kind of a little bit on the border, but at the same time, you really should pay attention, especially
I don't see that being on the border at all. You should be, if you're going to play fantasy football, you better be up on things.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. But like if a player gets hurt, and this has actually become a method of joking in my dynasty league. If a player gets hurt, you immediately make a low ball offer for him. Like when Michael Crabtree tore his Achilles last year, a guy offered me a 6th round rookie pick for him like the next day, almost as a joke. But if you can kind of nudge it down, maybe like 1 round less than you would have offered for a healthy player, you might be able to grab a guy like that. Especially, I mean, in our dynasty league, we can put players on injured reserve, so you can hold on to them for a year and not
Yeah.
troubles.
Yeah, and your dynasty.
You trying to get the pup? The pup's like, I don't know about this. This is a little iffy.
She's all excited. Hello. She's wanting my wine. Is what it is.
I don't know what Chewie would say if he saw a dog. I think he'd be a little bit like, no, not so good.
Hey, you're not. Say hi to everybody.
I'm a diva.
Hi. Okay. She lets me know, and I have not spent. I've been extremely, extremely busy this week, and I have not spent as much time with her as she prefers, and she lets me know when that is going on.
Hard to imagine your dog would be shy.
She's not shy at all.
Strange.
She is a kissy dog, too. She loves to kiss.
Okay, so we can talk about this. Is the well, I call it controversial, but sometimes in our league people don't pay attention very much, so they probably don't care. But it was me and my friend Chuck. We were both like mediocre teams. So I made him an offer. I was like, let's make a deal where one of us is going to trade the other person some of their best players in exchange for some draft picks next year. And we will determine who wins the deal based on the result of this third-tier Belgium soccer game. And I even gave him the advantage. I said, you get even goals, I get odd goals. Because usually in soccer it ends 0-0. And the game ended 1-0. So I got like 3 of his best players, and then I traded him some picks in this year's draft, which is coming to his advantage because we're doing a redraft instead of keeper this year. So yeah, I think the league was a little bit like that. Well, actually, we didn't really tell him about the details. But we just made this big deal where he basically traded me like Cam Newton and Zach Stacy and T.Y. Hilton for 3 of the worst players on my roster to make it even. And I ended up giving him like a 5th round pick, and he gave me back like a 10th because we always do the even picks. But that ended up being so I traded for all these players, and then ended up losing in the first round anyway. So it didn't make any difference ultimately. Everybody who made, because people were like getting in our faces about making a trade because
your league doesn't have the ability to. There's no reject option.
We don't vote on trades, and I'm not sure if I'd like. I mean, basically, we made the deal, and then it just, it went through. But of course, a couple people were complaining about it, and then about 2 days later, other owners made exactly the same kind of deal. Trading some draft picks in our next draft so they could get players. Which actually, at the moment, I thought, I should have been the guy getting the picks and trading the players, because my chances of winning a championship were not that great. I know. It's intriguing. I know. It's a very exciting story.
No. It is. It is. I'm just drinking wine, and I'm very relaxed.
That's good.
I played in both types of leagues where there's, well, I shouldn't say both. I should say different types of leagues where One where people vote on it, another where the commissioner has full authority to approve or reject, and the other one where it's just whatever. Yeah, you want to trade, whatever. Of course, it's all you have to have some control, but um, yeah, it's kind of funny to me, the topic of fantasy football and ethics. Maybe it's just because I always play with cutthroat fantasy players. The thought of, and we had a situation. Now, what was it? Let me think here. It seems like it was in our draft, and I'm trying to think which league it was last year. The league, whatever mechanism we were using. Oh, I will say this. We should talk about CBS Sports at some point. Your fantasy website sucks.
We actually use that for our league. I think the only reason
ever again do a fantasy.
The only reason we're still in it is because we have our league history on there, and other than that, yeah, it's not
it's terrible. But anyway, whatever mechanism we were using, it had the ADPs were messed up. It had players on there who weren't playing, were even on, I mean, you had that were injured. They weren't showing on IR, but they were on IR, and so we had to, and there were, I think that it was my female league, and I think that we had a discussion over whether we should help someone who did not realize, who drafted an injured player very early, and I ultimately think that we helped. I was in favor of helping, letting this person redraft because of the situation. So.
Well, we had two examples of that. The first one is when the player drafted Adrian Peterson, and we didn't notice till 6 picks later that he actually took the Adrian Peterson of the Bears. It shows the team name very small in the corner. Mm-hmm. And somebody drafted Adrian Peterson of the Vikings the next round. And we're like, we can't let this happen. So we gave him, we gave Adrian Peterson. But a few years ago, it was the commissioner's brother who had always struggled in the league. And it was like the 5th or 6th round. And he put this player on the board. Sometimes you have little stickers. And he just slammed it on the board like, yeah, I just kicked your butt. And he took, and it was like a pregnant pause. Everybody looked, and 2 seconds later, the room burst into laughter because he had drafted David Boston, who had torn his Achilles like a week before. And everybody but him knew that, and it was just like, yeah, you're getting him. You can pick up a guy after the draft, but you are basically screwed. I mean, usually it's a guy gets hurt 2 weeks before the draft. Has there ever been an example of a guy getting hurt while you're drafting? I don't think that really has happened. But you could see a guy getting hurt. I know one year, was it I think our last redraft, it was when Ben Tate was a rookie and somebody took him and the next week he got hurt. It was like, oh yeah. But all's fair in love and fantasy football, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, you have to, you have to be on your game.
Exactly, and you have to be heartless about those last guys in your roster. I've had Colin McCarthy since he was a rookie, and I almost cut him because I was going to pick up another guy, but I decided to drop somebody else instead. Calling him just because he was so good for 4 weeks his rookie year. It's he could be the guy someday. It's very unlikely.
Zach, I find it so curious that you would do that, being as you are the well-known hater that I know you to be.
Yeah, what do I have? 4? I have 5 Titans in my Dynasty League. Yeah, I have Kendall Wright, I have Justin Hunter, I have Taylor Thompson. That might not last very long. I've been holding him for a rainy day. And, Zach Brown and Colin McCarthy. So there you go. I mean, I thought about picking up Bleedy and, Cody Sensabaugh, because I figure one of those two is playing cornerback, and they're going to get a lot of tackles and targets.
Yeah, you would think so. Whoever's going to start opposite Jason McCourty will.
I mean, that's one of the things you do, because defensive back is kicker of defense. Like you can pick guys up off the waivers. You just go, oh, who's that cornerback opposite of that stud cornerback?
Oh my
Uh-oh.
God. Oh,
Wow. Apparently we
yeah.
have a Colin McCarthy
That
fan,
woke me
right?
up. That woke me up.
I thought a squirrel did something really bad in the front yard.
Yeah, I don't know what she's Libby. I don't know what she's barking at. Sometimes she likes to bark just to hear herself bark. And a lot of times it's, I'm going to bark because that usually gets me attention from Mom. And if I do this, I'll get that attention. In the league where I had the most options to, excuse me, it's allergies, and the most options to pick IDP players, I think Cam Chancellor was my defensive back. And that was a really, really good decision.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yeah, you can get guys. I actually took like Mark Barron in the 3rd round of a rookie draft, and really as a defensive backs, I mean, sure you can get a guy and you can play with your team for 12 years, but really it's mostly offensive guys in the rookie drafts.
Yep. So.
Even though I took Mario Williams in the 2nd round his rookie year, I've had him his whole career. He hasn't been that good, you know.
He hasn't been that bad.
It's like if you're a really good like defensive end, you score like 60 points in a year. Woo, you know, the excitement level, you know.
Yeah, the league that I played in last year, you had the option to select a DE-LB combo, which was kind of cool.
Well, I'm gonna stick with my theory that if you can do multiple positions for baseball and fantasy, why not in football? Because guys switch from defensive end to linebacker all the time.
They
like
do.
Derek Morgan's going to be a linebacker this year. Like Jadeveon Clowney, everybody's excited about him. He's going to be a linebacker, which is not as valuable as him being a defensive end just because there aren't that many of them. Like all these teams running 3-4s now. It's hard to get that 4-3 defensive end. Show the muscles. Come on. There you go. You can do it.
Yeah, I think with all the hybrid positions, and I made this argument last year. You see sort of the same thing with the wide receiver tight end thing.
That's true because Jimmy Graham's not really blocking anybody, and neither is Julius Thomas. I was so freaking happy with Julius Thomas last year. I hope I can find another guy like him. Can I find a love like him? I mean, I got Jimmy Graham in our keeper league, and I've had him for 3 years, and now I have to let him go. It just doesn't seem right.
It does not seem right.
He's been so good to me. He's actually...
You better be good to me.
You can make a comparison, like, heading into the 2nd year. The amount of hype that Jimmy Graham had is kind of similar to that Kristen Michael in Seattle. And now that Marshawn Lynch is apparently retiring or talking about retiring or whatever, now Kristen Michael is going to be a guy who's just going to jump up the rankings really high.
His ADP was already surprisingly high. People were very high on him. So yeah, that's very curious.
Yeah, I wonder has he gone in your dynasty league? I mean, he probably has.
I think so. Let me look real quick.
I think you were like in the 6th round. I was thinking, I swear guys have been taking him like in the 3rd round of like startups because they're just, and it's unusual because he doesn't have very good college stats. He just has very good.
Well, it's because he got in trouble. He kept getting in trouble. Kept getting in the doghouse.
Oh, kind of like Marshawn Lynch, huh?
Yeah.
Because I swear Marshawn Lynch has like a DUI or 2, and he just hasn't been officially disciplined yet. And someone said he got into some kind of fight in a bar in San Francisco last weekend. It's like, oh my.
Somebody drafted Marshawn Lynch. It might have been the guy that I traded with.
I was wondering if it was Kristen Michael been taken yet.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Kristen, not Christine, everybody. He's not a girl. Okay. You guys are hardcore. You're fantasy pigskin. Come on, or fake pigskin. Mm-hmm.
You must have. Let me pull up running backs.
What round are you in right now?
We're in round 5.
And is Ty from St. Louis taking all the Titans players from you?
I traded with Ty. I traded a pick with Ty.
So you like picking up? You trying to pick up more picks later? Is that what you're going for, or are you going for the rookies?
There wasn't anybody that I thought had the draft value at my spots. It wasn't that I was like, oh, I'm gonna go in. I'm not too. Generally speaking, I don't trade very often. I don't trade picks. I'd rather draft. Someone's drafted him. I just don't. I just must have missed it.
I figured, and I was wondering too about like Marcus Lattimore because it seemed like he was the hot commodity, and now it sounds like he might not be the guy ever for the 49ers. But the 49ers,
Yeah.
they just draft a running back in the second round every year. It doesn't matter because they have all these extra picks. And it's like, yeah, all right, I'll take a running back.
Well, they can afford to take those flyers, you know.
Yeah, it's like once you get extra picks, you just kind of hold on to them because the Patriots were always doing that every year. They were trading down. They did it one year. Remember they traded down the
Their
Titans for
problem,
Jared
though,
Cook,
was that
baby?
they sucked at drafting. They did well
Yes.
in free agency, you know.
Yeah, the Patriots, I swear, had like the last 7 years, they've had like one good second round pick. They always draft those cornerbacks who just never do very well.
Well, last year their second round pick was Jamie Collins, who I think is going to turn out to be
Some
pretty.
talent, yeah. He didn't even go to SEC school. I don't understand.
Southern Miss, baby. Who else went to Southern Miss? Former Titan.
Well, I bet Brett Favre went there.
Former Titan.
I don't know. I'm trying
Gerald
to think.
McGrath.
Oh, him, huh? Wasn't he like a second round pick by the Titans? Oh my, he didn't do very well.
I thought he was a fourth round.
Yeah, maybe. Southern Miss, Golden
What's him?
Eagles. Yeah, they were good for a while. They beat Florida State one year, I remember. But
They sucked the Jamie Collins last year. They were so bad. So
yeah, they've kind of fallen through the floor. They're kind of like my wife's current school, Georgia State, that went up to 1A last year and they won 0-12 in the Sun Belt. Not so good.
So, how many fantasy leagues are you in this year, Zach?
I'm in two, and I need a special kind of offer to be in another league. If we could put together a Nashville live draft, I think I could pull that off. If I could do another league that's like Atlanta-based with local people, I could probably do that. I don't know if I want to do it online. I want to be like, in the weeds with people. I want to look them in the eyes, when I make my picks. It's just not worth the aggravation. Somehow I only ended up being in two, and those are like my long-standing leagues that I've been in for 12 years and almost 10 years. And I actually got an offer. Somebody asked me if I wanted to be in a dynasty startup. I'm like, I haven't actually done a dynasty startup draft since 2006, and I drafted Julius Jones in the first round. Oh man, I tell ya, that's a player I had a crush on, a fantasy crush. It went badly. It went poorly.
Why do you say that? He's been a pretty good player.
Um,
Oh wait,
not
I'm
really.
no. I'm thinking of Julio Jones.
Julio Jones, yeah, he's been good. No, Julius Jones was good for like 4 weeks in his rookie year. I
Yeah,
had him in like
I
three
had.
leagues one year, and I had him in both my dynasty leagues. And it was just like, ugh. I mean, I ended up with Kevin Jones and Julius Jones in one league, and I thought I am set, and I was not set.
No,
I
you
was
weren't.
very, I was very unset. I had to reset in that league. Give my kitty some off-camera love. And it's tough being a cat. No, it's not. It's very easy.
No, pets generally have it pretty well made.
American pets, they're the best. So I suppose we should consider wrapping it up. There's some kind of other sporting event going on. I gotta
Yeah,
save my energy
yeah.
for the 3 World Cup games that I'll be fast forwarding through probably on a daily basis.
Are you gonna watch any of the World Cup, Zach?
I went through. I tried not to spoil myself about today's game, but I found out the score, so I basically just fast forwarded through it. And it was very soccer. It was very like the first goal was an own goal. The defender kicked it in his own goal. And yeah, then the guy basically did the flop. I was gonna have you like pretend to push me, and I'll do the oh no, like all the soccer
Mm-hmm.
players. And he got a
Flop,
penalty
flop.
kick, and he scored. And the last goal, that goalie was not good for Croatia. But anyway, yeah. I'm gonna watch. Sure, USA, USA. It's a
USA.
it's a short-term relationship, and I get to watch for a month, and then I get to move on. And then by the time the World Cup's over, It's going to be time for
Speaking of
mini camp.
degenerate, you hedonist, you.
Moi? But only
Twat.
short term, you know? I'm not making any commitments to other sports. I'm not watching best of 27 NBA finals. I just can't.
All right. Well, my NBA finals is calling to me, so I'm gonna go
Tell us what
watch.
you're up to, what's happening this week, what's going on in the life of Sharona.
Well, speaking of soccer, football, I just wrote my latest article was football versus football. Is football gaining on football? And my answer is yes, it's definitely growing in popularity. So read that article. You can check me in the morning talking about the game tonight. Go Spurs! Who's going to win on Game Over with Vasti and Sharona, 10 o'clock a.m. Yahoo Sports Radio. And tomorrow night, another Google Hangout, The Extra Point. I'm going to be talking to your buddy, Mr. California Jag, about the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The only Jaguars fan in the state of California. I tell you, I've been chatting with that guy for years. But it's not like I have much more to get excited about talking about. So great. I did a hangout 2 days ago with C.D. Carter. He has a new book about daily fantasy that you should check out because I think it was on sale at Amazon for like 99 cents. And this week's interviews with T.J. Hernandez, former online poker player, now writing for 12 fantasy sites because that's what you do if you write about fantasy. If you're not me, Zach_Law on the Twitter. And yeah, we'll be watching some soccer. Why not? Sure. You know what you can do when you watch soccer? You can drink beer. That's what you do. So we will wrap things up. Thank you for watching and listening and putting up with the occasional pet issues. And as we like to say, good night and good luck.
Good night.